This is the Dover Download Podcast. My name is Christopher Parker, and for the past 25 years, I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from, and talking to a variety of volunteer, staff, and community members. This podcast explores conversations, activities, and a variety of policies and programs which exist here in Dover to improve the community in one way or another. This episode of the Dover Download Podcast, we continue our ongoing series on looking at the nonprofits that help make Dover the community it is. We're going to be chatting with the Strafford Nutrition and Meals on Wheels Program Executive Director, Katie Cordova-Brooks. Katie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The listener might have heard of the Nutrition and Meals on Wheels program, but they might not be aware of what it is. So can you give us your elevator speech about what your program is and what its mission is?
Yeah. So we are a Meals on Wheels organization. We operate all over Strafford County. We provide hot lunchtime meals for seniors and disabled adults throughout the county. A huge part of our mission is helping people remain independent in their homes.
Good.
So avoiding nursing homes. Another portion of that is that we're really helping the families out of these individuals, because a lot of times, you know, families are spread out across the country, or more and more often, everybody that's working age in the household is working. So there's not somebody that's home during the day to help prepare a lunch for their older grandmother. So we deliver a lunch every day. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Tuesdays, we provide an extra meal for Wednesday. And it kind of doubles as a visitation kind of for those individuals, because a lot of our clients don't see anybody throughout the week. So our driver is also somebody to check in on them, make sure they're doing well, and report back anything that they're seeing that may have changed.
You know, you described exactly what I've experienced, which was probably 15 to 20 years ago now. My wife's grandmother was independently living, but was not able to really cook or care for herself the way that she had been 20, 30 years prior. And exactly as you described, my mother-in-law was working. My wife and I were working. So your service was able to come provide that connection point and really provide a little relief valve for the family who was there on the weekends and was there at nights. I'm glad that program existed then and that you're carrying forward now. The meals themselves, is it a standard meal that, you know, I know that I can expect every Monday I'm going to get X, or every Tuesday I'm going to get Y? How does that work? How do you come up with the menu and the rotation of it?
So it's not the same meal each week. We try to create a little bit of variety. For planning and logistical purposes, we do stick to somewhat of a pattern. So like on Mondays, we do a lot of chicken. On Fridays, every now and then we'll do a fish meal because...
fish on Fridays.
Yeah, fish on Fridays. We sometimes will do hot dogs or hamburgers on Fridays. That's a good Friday meal. So we do kind of stick to somewhat of a little bit of a pattern, but try to mix it up so that people aren't getting bored and saying you're repeating the exact same thing you did last month.
How long have you been involved with Strafford Nutrition Meals on Wheels?
I have been here just about a year and a half, actually. I moved to New Hampshire a year and a half ago, and this was my first job here.
Are you still shell-shocked about moving to New Hampshire?
Yeah, I am.
Where did you come from?
Las Vegas, actually.
Oh. Very different. In some places, probably very the same, but in very different culture, I'm sure.
Yes, vastly different. You know, in Las Vegas, I was in the nonprofit world as well. I managed a food pantry. The need is very different here, but it's still very prevalent. So I'm happy to have gotten in somewhere where it seems like there's a really big need.
Good. What is your day-to-day role like?
It is different every single day. You know, sometimes I come in with a plan and I'm like, okay, I need to get this application done, or I need to finish up this report, and it'll change completely based off of what fires need to be put out. I do have an open door policy with my staff, so that does mean sometimes that they come in to my office in the middle of something and need a fire put out, or they just need somebody to vent to. So it does change up my day a little bit sometimes. Sometimes we have a driver that gets hurt on the road and that takes priority. So, that can change it a little bit, but I do a lot of the outward facing stuff with our organization. So I work with the state of New Hampshire on our contracts there. I work with the cities and towns to get funding from them as well. I do our grant writing and whatever in between that needs to get done.
Is the state the primary funding source outside of fundraising?
Yes. So we actually contract with the state of New Hampshire to provide X amount of meals each year. We always meet and surpass that, which is why we do some additional fundraising.
Yeah. Where are you headquartered out of? You're serving all of Strafford County. Where is the program emanate from?
Our main office is in Somersworth. We have a site in Somersworth that we have drivers that go there and take their meals out of there. We also have congregate dining in Somersworth. Oh. And then we also have a site in Dover and in Rochester.
I assume the Tri-Cities are the primary focus point, which is why you're headquartered there?
Yes. Probably the biggest percentage of our population is in those three towns. And it's kind of easy to distribute out from there.
How many routes do you have?
We have 17 routes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So I assume that some of those are multiple in a community, but others are reaching out to some of those more rural communities and cycling through those.
Yes. Each route is different. Some people, I have one driver that delivers probably 10 different stops within one little community. Mm-hmm. And then she does a few others around Somersworth. But then I also have drivers that go up into kind of the hills of Barrington. Mm-hmm. They're all very different.
The clients that you have, the customers, how do they get involved? How do they find you, or how do you find them?
There's a few different ways. Luckily, we're kind of like a nationwide brand, so people know of Meals on Wheels. Their family members will reach out. Sometimes their neighbors will be concerned and they'll reach out and ask us to give their neighbor a call. Sometimes they call for themselves. Other times they are referred from hospitals or doctor's offices, or caseworkers with the state of New Hampshire will refer them to us as well.
And is there any cost for the customer, or is that all the cost that's provided by the state and the fundraising?
Our state contracts actually only cover about 60 to 70% of our total costs. Okay. We do a lot of fundraising, or not a lot of fundraising, but we do one big annual fundraiser, and we don't charge anything to the clients. We do request that if they're able to, they make a donation for their meals, but it's never a requirement. We just make the suggestion.
I would think that part of the logistics issue that you need to figure out is dietary restrictions, and more we're hearing more things. Long gone are the days of peanut butter jelly as a staple for folks, that you must have to navigate pretty rigorous conversation with folks before they start, so you can figure out what sort of dietary restrictions or things you need to account for.
We do. So unfortunately, we're not big enough to be able to handle everybody's dietary restrictions. And, we're able to provide, our meals are already low in sodium. Mm-hmm. So we're able to provide some modifications if meals need to be pureed or ground, that sort of thing. I would honestly love to be able to do that as somebody with dietary restrictions myself. I know that it's important, and we need to eat, and we need to eat without it hurting us. Right. So it is definitely on my
radar.
Yes, that it's something that needs to be done. We're even in talks with different people around the state about how do we implement some of those therapeutic meals, but it is a big undertaking that it's very important.
So the nutrition part of the entity title, is that in the sense of providing nourishment, or is there an education component? So if I sign up, am I able to say to you or someone on the team, the meals that I'm providing on my own, is there a education component to say, here's the best way for me to try to get that nourishment, or is that not necessarily an option.
So the nutrition is yeah, it's kind of twofold. Our thing that we're proud of is being able to provide proper nutrition, helping people stay nourished, but also we provide some nutritional education that is worked into our contracts with the state of New Hampshire, that each of us has to be providing nutritional education throughout the year. So we try to really stay on top of that and provide some good information to our clients.
Statewide, how many versions of you are there? Is there one per county, or
There's one per county, yeah.
Okay. The mission is clear.
Mm-hmm.
The funding, I'm sure, is a ongoing effort to maintain.
It is.
How about volunteers? Do the drivers, are they employees or are they volunteers, or how does that work?
So our drivers are employees. A long time ago when we were started up, that was what was decided was best, is that we be able to pay our drivers because they're using their own cars and their own gas.
Okay.
We have volunteers that work in our sites that help with like our congregate meals. So they get a little more face time with our congregate clients. They help serve up all and package all of our meals. We also have volunteers that come in and do miscellaneous odd jobs around the office. That's another area that I'd really love to grow, is our volunteer program. People want to help in the community.
Yeah.
It's a feel-good program. People want to be involved in it. So, we are looking at ways to incorporate that a little more. Like if it's something like where they go visit clients that are kind of higher need in their homes, just to give them some human interaction.
Right.
We're kind of exploring those options.
You mentioned that you provide daily service Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yes.
You double up on Tuesday to account for Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Is that similar for holidays? If there's a holiday on a service day, do you double up on the day before so that the driver is able to take that day off, or how does that work?
Yes. So you should see our office around the holidays, actually.
Sure.
My assistant director,
Crazy.
she does all of the planning, all of our sheets for the week. So the week before, it's kind of a logistical roller coaster, trying to figure out, okay, what day are we taking this meal or that meal, especially during like Christmas, New Year's.
What volunteer opportunities are there? If I wanted to get involved, or if a listener wanted to get involved, what are the opportunities for helping out?
So the current opportunities would be within our sites, helping with serving the meals, kind of just helping out during the congregate meals.
Being extra hands.
Yeah, extra hands. And, volunteer opportunities for each person look a little bit different. But for the most part, it's just at our sites, helping with those meals.
And when you talk about the congregate meals, is that, let me tell you what I'm hearing, and then you can correct me. What I'm hearing is people that might be a little bit more able-bodied that could actually come to you instead of you go to them. So it's probably the same meal that I would get for the delivery program, but it gets me out of my apartment, my house, what have you, to a centralized space. What I'm curious about, if I've got that baseline somewhat right, is do I eat the meal there and then return home, or do I grab the meal and go, or is it a hybrid?
Yeah, so you're pretty spot on that the congregate meal is more geared towards the social aspect of it. So the requirement is that you do need to be over the age of 60.
Okay.
And for it to count as an actual congregate meal, you do need to eat it at our site. It's kind of more focused on the social aspect of
that's great.
Eliminating loneliness.
Yeah.
Some people can grab the meal and go. We do provide that option, but it's a small percentage of our clients do that.
It's the outlier as opposed to the norm for how it works. And I assume on Tuesdays you do take something for Wednesday with you when you leave.
And not for the congregate meals,
okay.
Because it is not technically, you're not eating that Wednesday meal sitting down.
And what kind of numbers do you see? Are you pretty static? Or are you seeing people enter the program and exit the program on an ongoing basis? How do your client services numbers look?
It's pretty consistent. I would say we have a pretty high retention rate. We have some clients that have been on our program for years and years and years. We do have some people that come on for a short period of time because of an injury or an illness.
Family dynamic.
Yes. But for the most part, when people come on because of age, they stick with the program.
Sure. I've got to think for you and the staff, it's going to be really rewarding to see how your help is keeping people engaged and keeping people nourished. Is that what really drives you? That sort of like, not necessarily look at me and look what I've done, but the satisfaction of knowing that people are really benefiting from that service?
It truly is. I think, through conversations with my staff, we're all pretty of the mindset that food is like the center of
manna from heaven.
Everything. We all feel very strongly about it. My staff is wonderful. They truly do it because they love it. As you guys have talked with probably many nonprofits in the area. We nonprofit professionals aren't in it for the money.
Right.
So
yeah, it's really a mission-driven role.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody's that's there is there because they want to be, because they love it, and because we actually get to see the payoff when we talk to our clients.
As we wind down, are there things that you want to make sure that the listener knows about the organization, or maybe things that you've heard, misconceptions or myths that you want to double check and make sure people are aware of?
Yeah. So one thing I hear a lot of is that people don't want to enroll in Meals on Wheels because they feel like, save it for somebody who needs it more than me, or there's a really big misconception there. We are here to help anybody who can't necessarily move around and cook well enough anymore. It's not about how much money you make if you do receive meals from us and you're able to give back. You can.
Good.
But, I really want to kind of eliminate that misconception that save it for somebody who needs it more than I do, because maybe you do actually need it and could benefit.
And I think listening to your story, the nutrition in the meal portion is certainly the direct driving factor, but the social and the check-in, the human side of it is important too. And so, yes, maybe you can afford the meal, but we all need that human connection and that human check-in.
Yes, exactly.
Anything else you want to say as we wrap up? Any way that you can, how would the listener learn more? How would the listener, if they wanted to either support you financially or volunteer or get involved or take advantage of the service, how would they do that?
So they can visit us online. Our website is straffordmealsonwheels.org. We have information on our site about making donations. We have a very easy click to donate kind of page. And on there, you have our phone number, our email addresses, so you can give us a call or email us if you're interested in volunteering. You can even stop by our office. We're friendly. We're there.
Good. I appreciate you coming in and talking to us about your program and all of the work that you're doing to help our aging community here in the Seacoast is appreciated.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.
Dover has a wealth of history in its over 400 years of existence. Coming up, Mike Gillis is going to share some of that history with us.
Arranging for a caterer for a large event in 1923 could be difficult, but for those lucky enough to hire Dover caterer Roscoe Simpson, they knew they were in for a treat. Simpson was well known for his catered clambakes, and as a result, was in significant demand. This week in 1923, Simpson shared with a local paper that his summer was already booked. Coming up were clambakes in Exeter, Haverhill, Massachusetts, and Rye for the 250 employees of Hampton Light and Power. The day after the clambake in Rye, Simpson had already been tapped for a large clambake for recent graduates of MIT and their families on the farm and estate of E.W. Rollins in Dover. Shortly after his catered clambake at the Rollins estate, he was hired to serve more than 200 guests from a, quote, elaborate menu for a St. John the Baptist Society event in Somersworth. And coming up on Independence Day, 1923, Simpson had been hired to serve his famous, quote, shore dinner for more than 100 guests at Hillside Farm in Dover. The Hillside Farm at the time was a popular resort that overlooked the Piscataqua River and offered boating, bathing, fishing, and a variety of games, as well as fresh food from the farm. Roscoe Simpson's catering business would continue to grow and thrive for years. He would later expand his business on his family's land in Madbury in what would be called the Simpson Pavilion. His clambakes would continue to be renowned across the region, and he would continue to be in demand, as he was in 1926, when he and his staff served more than 250 people at Bow Lake in Strafford during a joint outing of Elks Lodges from the area.
Thanks for listening to the Dover Download this week. If you like what you heard, subscribe through your favorite podcast aggregator. And if you have something you want to hear a topic on, let us know. Finally, this is just one of the many ways we share information about the city of Dover. You can subscribe to the Dover Downloads email newsletter every week or other newsletters that we have by going to the City of Dover homepage, www.dover.nh.gov. Have a great week.